Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be looking at something a lot of law firms are dealing with, and that's silos. Everybody wants to talk about collaboration and how they're people first, but then a merger happens, or people start working hybrid. And it's right back to us versus them. We've got some great material to try to help us figure out how to break down these walls and build a more cohesive we culture.
Sounds good.
We're going to be using excerpts from an article from Harvard Business Review.
Okay.
And a summary of Laura Kriska's book, The Business of We.
Great.
So by the end, you should have some solid strategies to boost productivity and maybe even make some lawyers a bit happier along the way.
That's always a good thing because the legal landscape is changing so rapidly.
Oh, yeah.
Globalization, remote work, the war for talent. It's not enough to just be good at the law anymore.
It's really not.
Firms need to be agile, innovative.
Definitely.
And that requires a level of trust and collaboration that's hard to achieve when everyone's stuck in their own silo.
I think that HBR article really highlights that point, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not just anecdotal either.
Right.
Like they actually ran an experiment where academics, using specific collaboration strategies, built a simulated team machine in half the time it took corporate teams.
Interesting. Wow.
That's a pretty compelling argument for prioritizing we building.
It is, absolute. It shows that this isn't just some touchy-feely HR initiative. This is about tangible results.
Yeah.
About gaining a competitive edge in a cutthroat industry.
It is a very competitive industry.
And what's interesting is that the HBR study found
that
it wasn't about fancy tech or elaborate team-building exercises.
Interesting.
It was about fostering a culture of trust and psychological safety.
Which brings us to Kriska's framework.
Yeah.
She breaks down we building into these 3 clear steps: fostering awareness, self-assessment, and then taking action.
Okay.
So I'm curious, when it comes to law firms, what are some of the biggest blind spots that need to be brought into awareness?
Think about the typical law firm structure. You've got partners, associates, paralegals, all operating within their own specialized departments.
Right.
Then you add in the generational differences, the fact that many firms have grown through mergers and acquisitions, and you've got a recipe for miscommunication and mistrust.
It's almost like everyone's speaking a different language.
Yeah.
Even though they're all working towards the same goal.
Exactly. And that's where the self-assessment piece comes in.
Okay.
It's not enough to just acknowledge that these differences exist. Individuals and leaders need to examine their own behaviors and biases. How do they communicate? Do they actively seek out diverse perspectives? Are they truly invested in the success of their colleagues? Or are they just focused on their own individual goals?
Because if a partner is constantly throwing associates under the bus to make themselves look good, or if there's a culture of hoarding information and resources, all the we-building workshops in the world won't make a difference.
You hit the nail on the head. It has to be a top-down, bottom-up approach. Everyone needs to buy into this idea that collaboration and trust are essential for success. Not just for the firm as a whole, but for their own individual careers as well.
I agree with that. So let's say a firm has gone through the awareness and self-assessment phases. They've identified the silos. They've acknowledged their biases. What are some concrete actions they can take to start building those bridges and creating a more cohesive we culture?
Both the HBR article and Kriska's book have some great actionable advice. One thing that really stood out to me was the emphasis on inclusive language.
Oh, interesting.
It sounds simple, but it's about shifting from my team needs this to we need to accomplish this together.
Yeah, you're getting buy-in from everybody.
Exactly.
So that subtle shift in language can have a big impact on how everybody works together.
It reinforces the idea that everyone is working towards a common goal. And it's not just about words, it's about actions too. Think about how resources are allocated within a firm. Is there a sense of fairness?
That's a good point.
Do junior associates have access to the same training and development opportunities as senior partners?
And I imagine that becomes even more crucial in a hybrid work environment.
Absolutely,
Because if some people are in the office getting FaceTime with the partners while others are remote and feeling forgotten, That's going to breed resentment and distrust pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Fairness and equity are paramount in a we culture,
Yeah.
especially in a hybrid setting. And it goes beyond just physical resources.
Sure.
It's about ensuring that everyone has access to information,
Okay.
that they feel comfortable speaking up and sharing their ideas, regardless of their location or seniority level.
So how do you create that kind of psychological safety, that sense that it's okay to take risks and make mistakes without fear of being punished? Because that's got to be tough in a high-pressure environment like a law firm.
It starts with leadership.
Yeah.
Partners and senior attorneys need to model that behavior. They need to be open to feedback, willing to admit when they're wrong, and create space for others to contribute.
That's huge.
The HBR article talks about the importance of constructive dissent,
Oh, interesting.
where team members feel comfortable challenging each other's ideas in a respectful and productive way.
That makes a lot of sense. But I imagine it takes a conscious effort
It does.
to shift away from that traditional top-down command and control approach.
Yeah.
That's so prevalent in the legal profession.
It does, but it's essential for fostering innovation and collaboration.
I agree.
And it's not just about big sweeping changes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the small gestures that can make a big difference.
Oh, sure.
Like Kriska's example of a senior partner taking the time to learn how to pronounce a new associate's name correctly.
Wow.
It shows respect and a willingness to connect on a personal level.
It does. Those little things can really go a long way
They do.
in building trust and a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the why and the how of building a we culture. What about the results? What difference does it actually make to a law firm's bottom line?
The book summary makes a strong case
Okay.
that firms that invest in we building see significant benefits.
Like what?
They have higher retention rates,
Yeah, that makes sense.
which is crucial in a competitive industry where top talent is always in demand.
Always.
They also experience better communication, more efficient workflows, and perhaps most importantly, increased innovation.
So they're not just attracting and keeping the best people, they're also operating more effectively
Exactly.
and coming up with new ideas that give them a competitive edge.
Yeah,
That sounds like a win to me.
it is. And on the flip side,
Yeah.
firms that ignore this are likely to face some serious consequences.
Oh, yeah.
High turnover, missed opportunities, internal conflicts.
Yep.
It's a downward spiral that can damage their reputation
Sure.
and ultimately hurt their bottom line.
So while some firms might see we building as a soft skill, something they can put on the back burner
Yeah.
while they focus on the quote-unquote real legal work,
Yeah.
the reality is
Yeah.
that it's a critical investment in their future success.
Precisely. In today's legal landscape, collaboration and trust aren't just nice to haves. They're essential for survival.
And all of this is especially relevant right now
Yeah.
with the rise of AI and legal tech. If firms want to leverage these new tools effectively, they need teams that can work together seamlessly,
Absolutely.
share knowledge freely,
Yeah.
and adapt quickly to change.
That's a great point. In a way, the technology is forcing firms to confront these cultural challenges head on. Yeah.
They can either cling to the old ways of doing things and risk being left behind, or they can embrace we building
Yep.
and unlock a whole new level of potential.
So let's wrap this up by bringing it back to the individual listener.
Okay.
What's the takeaway message here? What can someone do
Yeah.
if they're working in a law firm that's still stuck in a silo mentality?
First off, I think it's important to remember that you're not alone.
Right.
A lot of law firms are grappling with these same challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
But the good news is,
Yeah.
as we've discussed,
Uh-huh.
there are frameworks and strategies that can help.
Absolutely. And it starts with awareness, right?
It does.
Just taking some time to observe the dynamics within your firm.
Yeah.
Where are the silos? What are the barriers to collaboration? Once you have a better understanding of the problem, then you can start to look for solutions.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to start small.
You don't need to overhaul the entire firm culture overnight. Maybe it's suggesting a cross-departmental project
Okay.
or volunteering to mentor a junior associate from a different practice area.
Okay. I like that.
Those small steps can make a big difference,
Yeah.
especially when they're driven by a genuine intention.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, it's not just about individual actions.
Right.
It's about advocating for change at a systemic level.
Oh, for sure.
Talk to your colleagues, raise these issues with leadership.
Yeah.
The more people who are aware of the importance of we building,
Yeah.
the more likely it is that real change will happen.
And I think that's a really empowering message for our listeners.
Yeah.
Because it means that even if you're not in a position of authority, you can still be an agent of change within your firm.
Exactly.
You can be a champion for collaboration.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe your firm will become known not just for its legal expertise, but for its exceptional culture.
Yeah.
Clients rave about the teamwork.
That's awesome.
And the competition is left wondering, how do they do it?
It all goes back to that we.
That's the power of we.
It's not just about warm and fuzzy feelings.
No, it's not.
It's about tangible results, about creating a sustainable competitive advantage.
Yeah,
And that's something worth striving for.
absolutely. And I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah, I agree.
Remember, building a we culture is a journey. Takes time, effort,
Yeah.
and a willingness to challenge the status quo.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But the rewards are well worth it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.